Welcome to the channel. Welcome. Tessie here. Oh my God, it has been months since I have done a long format video. Like it's been so long. I've been just gallivanting up and down. I've literally been to Germany. I've come back. And you guys and girls, especially the ladies, know on this channel I discuss so much. We talk about interracial relationships for Black women. We talk about dating, better outcomes, all sorts, right? And don't forget to like and subscribe because this is going to be a very interesting video. I'm going to deep dive into the Black women who still believe that they're undesirable for interracial relationships. But I'm also going to talk about the misconceptions that Black women have about white women and privilege in relationships, because Black women have huge misconceptions about how white women are treated. And it needs to be discussed. It needs to be discussed. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, share the video. It's going to be incredible. You're going to love it. You're going to learn something and you're going to have fun watching and we're going to laugh together. Okay, so let's move on. We're going to discuss a Reddit post that I've seen, which actually talks about, it's actually from the same person who was making those weird posts about Black women being undesirable for interracial relationships. And, you know, it's very interesting because remember, I told you that this is what they want to do. They want to make you believe that you can't date interracially. So we're going to discuss this Reddit post and then we're going to move onto the other topics for the video. So I hope you enjoy. Okay. So every time I see one of these Reddit posts, it's either from the same person or a different person who has the same mindset. But it's very, very interesting to see the same sort of like lamenting headlines that they put as titles. So let's read this Reddit post here. It says, I wish there was some place in the world Black women were loved. African countries don't count because African men collectively hate us as well. Mistreat African women, subjugate them, and put white women and lighter skinned on a pedestal. I just wish there was even one place in the world where Black women were valued, protected, and seen as the standard. I would drop everything and go there in a heartbeat. So here is another post we have, and you ladies, especially ladies, because I love the fact that my channel, majority of my channel, like 90% of my channel is made up of women, which is fantastic. A lot of channels bigger than mine can't boast of that, right? And you know that YouTube is just something I do as a hobby. It's not a full-time job because I have a crazy life outside. But ladies, you know, I've made in my other videos before where I've discussed the fact that they want you to believe online that you can't date interracially, that you are undesirable. There are Black women perpetuating this myth. There are white supremacists perpetuating this myth. There are Black men perpetuating this. And I'm very sure that there are Black women who have struggled in dating, absolutely. But not to the extent where there's no Black women in the world that I love. This is ridiculous. And this is the mind of a mentally ill Black woman. I know that this specific person is actually a very young person. They're around 18 because we've already had a lot of their posts on my channel. And this is the kind of narrative that Black women who have become mentally ill from watching things that are designed to destroy their self-esteem, this is a kind of thing that they'll end up doing. They'll end up pushing out this narrative to other Black women. And you'll see in the subsequent posts, I'll show you the responses that this only attracts other Black women who think like this. And it only makes other Black women start thinking like this about themselves. And this is what I've said previously in my previous videos. They want you to believe that you are not desirable. It is within their best interest. When you as a Black woman start thinking like this, then you spread it to other Black women. And look, their message is working. Their message is working. It's because it's starting to affect other Black women, young Black girls and Black women. So let's look into the posts, the responses to some of the responses to this post, and you'll see exactly what I mean. I just love what this person says here. They say here, this is literally not true. Just go to Atlanta or any majority Black city. Then someone else says, standards of beauty for Black women in the West is crazy. I definitely think the standards of beauty are they're overemphasized for Black women, but only if you decide to play in that game. If you decide to play in that game, then you will experience the negative consequences of trying to appeal to a beauty standard. Listen, even the Europeans cannot reach their European beauty standard. So why would black women care about reaching the European beauty standard? It makes no sense to me, because the Europeans are struggling. They're going through bulimia, anorexia, all sorts of things to reach that standard, and they're still not reaching it. So why would you care? Why would black women care? I've never understood this. Okay, let's continue with some of the responses. Another response says, well, yes, I had to keep up with those in ways I could, but I ended up with someone who doesn't care about all of that, which is what we all need. Absolutely. Another person says, that's not entirely the case of, or a solve all though. I'm a black woman who has lived in Atlanta, and I'm from the majority black city. We are still often disrespected, held as a lower standard, and expected to be handed and accept less in many areas, like these two. There's a lot of colorism and certain beauty standards too. I think people should go where they like and surround yourself with appreciation and love you find. Absolutely. And I've said this to black women. You 100% have the ability to date out, but you must be open to exploring all avenues in life. And one of the major things that black women do that other races of women just don't do, and it's one of the reasons why black women suffer so deeply, is they just close themselves off. And they automatically just say, listen, this is never going to be possible for me. And that's not true. If you live your life allowing people to tell you what is and what isn't possible for yourself, you're never going to be able to do anything as a black woman. You're never going to be able to date or achieve the relationship you want, or just even do anything that you want with your life, right? You have to be able to say, okay, I'm going to go wherever it is I need to go to get whatever it is I want to get. And that's it. And then someone else at the bottom says, but just to say that black women aren't loved anywhere is just entirely untrue. Even if most of us are held to standards other women are. Exactly. And this is what I dislike so fervently about posts like this. They try and make black women look as if all black women are suffering and struggling. Absolutely not. Of course, black women do struggle with relationships, right? Especially on dating apps, right? But the reality is there are a lot of black women such as myself who are living incredibly happy and loved relationships and lives, right? And who are loving their relationships and who are treated incredibly well, right? And the problem is when you listen to disgusting podcasts, usually ran by black men to make you feel bad about yourself because that's the only way they can gain self-esteem and feel superior, then what happens is you end up thinking every woman is suffering that and every black woman is going through it. No, it's not. Not every black woman is going through it, right? A lot of black women are really leveling up in the way they think and really going for what is best for them and putting themselves first. Okay, so let's have a look at some more responses. So then we have another response here, and someone says, thank you so much for this, because I literally felt like I was going crazy. I honestly think that a 10 out of 10 drop dead gorgeous black woman is probably equivalent to like an average looking white woman in a man's eyes. First of all, you don't know what all men think, so that's a very bizarre thing to say. And you don't know what every man's requirements is in terms of the kind of person that he finds attractive. So this is just you applying something that you really have no idea and just using it as a blanket statement for everyone. And then she says, and it's horrible because I probably say that I'm below average and I'm black. So what's even the point? Oh God, things like this, they make me sick, you know? I'm not, ladies, please, I need you to avoid the podcast because you're going to end up like people like, you're going to end up with like women like this. I need you to avoid them. Avoid. Okay, let's continue. She says, to be seen as attractive when you're black, you have to be the creme of the crop. And to be honest, even then it's hard. You're definitely right that it makes them uncomfortable. I just wish they would stop invalidating other people's experiences. So the reality is, people like this are actually also invalidating black women. Yes, because they are painting black women's entire dating experience as a struggle when it's not. Right? The reality is, it depends on where you are, how you move, how you think, what you think of yourself, and how you allow other people to treat you. It's very, very important that black women also realize that they have power with themselves. It's very, 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 very important that black women understand that they also have some sort of power to direct and influence their own lives. It's very, very important. Once you discover this, it's very, very, you will move mountains with your life, right? And then someone else says, there is Germany and the German part of Switzerland too. I'm from a very cosmopolitan city in sub-Saharan Africa, and it was as well known thing that German men would come there en masse in the hopes of finding a black girlfriend, and the German women would do the same thing, looking for black men. And then someone else says, but I feel like they're doing that to take advantage of vulnerable people, not because they're in love with them. A lot of them go to places like Thailand too. Listen, you ladies, I've just come back from Germany, right? I've just come back from Germany. If you know how many guys we had following me and my friend, oh my God, there were so many. There were so many. I had a black man approach me in Alexanderplatz, and I was like, sir. And he was, do you know the funniest thing? I don't think he was German. He was speaking French. And I was like, sir, I'm not here. I'm not in the market for you. I'm okay. And not even just that, right? But we had a weird man stop and ask to take a photograph of me and my friend. There were so many ways that, listen, we had free taxi rides, we got free drinks. When we did have a couple of racist experiences, which I'll go into in my Germany vlog when I drop the vlog for the Germany trip. We did have a couple of racist experiences, but we had also some really incredible experiences of people just giving us free stuff. And I'm telling you, they were literally all over us. We had a man ask us for a photograph, and we were like, no. Listen, ladies, I keep telling you, you can 100% date interracially. You can date interracially successfully, but it requires incredible high self-esteem and self-respect, and incredible high standards and boundaries. And also it requires knowing oneself, right? And that's one of the reasons why I'm also very successful with interracial dating, and why my sister is very successful as well. So let's move on. And actually, I have to agree a little bit with what that person was saying, because do you ladies remember the German Broomhilda that came on talking about black women and how black women can't compete? Didn't she go to Germany? She was a Turkish woman, and she went to Germany, and she found a black man. Now, there are a lot of Turkish women and Italian women in Germany. It honestly shook me, right? The amount of Turkish and Italian women in Germany. There are so many of them. So that doesn't surprise me. That doesn't surprise me at all. And listen, this ties into a lot. This ties into what I have to say about black women's misconceptions about white women and their privilege, and when it comes to relationships, because really you think they have privilege, but they don't have as much. They don't have nearly as much privilege as you think in relationships. It's very important, right? But the reality is, as soon as I realized, right, that I could make my own choices, I could decide to just open up my options. And opening up your options doesn't mean just picking anyone. It means picking the right person for you, giving yourself the chance to discover someone that will love you no matter what. You are deciding to love that person no matter the skin color or the ethnicity of that person. That's very, very powerful. And I don't think black women understand how incredible an outcome you can get by really, really increasing your standards, but also opening yourself up to other people showing you what they can offer you in life. I think black women really care, especially in America. Oh my God, they are caged in. It's literally, that Janelle Monáe song, I'm locked inside. You're literally locked inside, love. You're locked inside. But yeah, I really want to go into, and as many of you ladies know, before I go into the next topic, which is very interesting, as many of you ladies know, right, I am pregnant. Me and Greg are expecting our first child. We're extremely happy and excited to be parents. We are absolutely loving the journey. I'm not working or stressing myself out or anything. And, I'm in a loving relationship, and Greg he's a very good provider, right? He's a very, very, he spoils me rotten, as you ladies know. He loves doing it. He's always loved doing it, right, from when we first met. So I want you ladies to understand that posts like this, I've said it before, when you watch disgusting stuff like red pill, black pill, and all of that stuff, especially after this US election, which has made many black women just shook from the results, right? When you watch stuff like that, you start developing mental illness, and you'll start posting stuff like this to spread to other black women and make them mentally sick. It's very important you see this for what it is. Remember, I always tell you, see it, see through it, and move past it. Once you do that, literally nothing will bother you. you'll be able to look at this and laugh like I do. In fact, you'll start feeling sorry for these ladies, and you'll know that they've been messed with mentally, and what they've watched has messed them up. And if you watch content, anti-Black women content that's designed to destroy you, right, and confuse you, you will end up confused and miserable like this, like these women over here. You will end up confused, and you will end up spreading that misery online because you won't be able to help yourself. When you are miserable, the misery has nowhere to go, so you've got to spread it somewhere. And you end up coming online and doing stuff like this. It's very, very sad. It's very, very sad. And I can see the mental illness in this person, brewing. And I don't want Black women to experience stuff like this. I don't want Black girls to go through this. Anytime you doubt yourself, come to my channel and watch these videos. Please. Anytime you doubt yourself with dating and relationships, come to this channel and watch these videos, because you need to see the truth of things. So there's also something in the original Reddit post that this girl mentioned, which I think is very important, and I'll go into it a bit more, and I'll use my personal experience to back that up. And where she specifically says African countries don't count because African men collectively hate us as well and mistreat African women. Now, she is right. African men do mistreat African women, right? And a lot of African women are going through it in their marriages and stuff like that. But the reality is there are also a lot of African women who have incredibly high standards, especially when it comes to what they require of a man financially, what they require of a man, in terms of his morals and character. For one, I know that I have extremely high standards as a Nigerian woman. And even my fiance, my husband to be, has to pay my bride price. He must pay my bride price. As my brother-in-law, who's also a European man, had to pay my sister's bride price. So I think there's also a lack of knowledge on some of the cultures of African women and just what they require and demand from men, especially if they're marrying African men or whatever. Now, there's also this weird myth that's going, this weird kind of brainwashing. When I just had to come out there, it had to come out. It just had to.
What happened in your dating experience to where you're now like,
It's a lot of pressure on Black men, specifically dating Black women. And I love Black women. Social media and the culture has put a lot of pressure on us. This could be just based on environment. When I moved to Atlanta, women here are very entitled. And listen, I'm not blaming anybody, so I don't want this to turn into
when you say entitled, though, what does entitled mean?
I'll say financially entitled. I feel extreme pressure. And I get hit on by white women, I get hit on by all kinds of women. But when I get hit on by Black women, I immediately feel this entitlement of, I gotta pay for something.
Wow.
I gotta pay your rent. I gotta help you with your car note immediately within 2 weeks. Or I'm just saying what I've experienced. I'm not saying that's every woman. Nowadays, if I take somebody on a date,
$400
immediately, and I don't even drink. So if she drink, that's a couple hundred. If the hookah is 45,
dessert?
Lamb chops is 50, dessert. So by the time VIP
Valet.
card, valet, I was just getting ready to say valet. So we didn't spend $400 for me to see if you like me.
Say that again.
So it's like I'm spending. That's just the first date. You want to go out again. I didn't spend $1,000 on 3 dates just to see if you might call me back or maybe text me back. And then because you're a beautiful woman, if you don't like me, you can go get the next man to do the same thing.
Okay, so that video is so many shades of funny to me. Because all I'm getting from that is that Black men are not used to providing for Black women. Right? Because let's be real. Let's not act as if women of other races are not going to demand something from them. They will in general, right? And when it comes to Black women, they're just so used to Black women taking just providing, and Black women being the ones to do things and pay for things. And so you see the confusion and at the thought of even providing for a Black woman has just got him absolutely confused. Bearing in mind, right, you don't have to spend $400 in a day. Greg spent a lot of money on our first 3 dates, but that was because we had the same taste in certain things and we just loved it. We enjoyed it. he was happy and he was able to do that, right? So I wouldn't advise any man trying to do that if he doesn't have that actually on him, like if he's not capable. But the reality is, you can have a great date and it doesn't have to cost £400 or $400 or whatever. But just the sheer reluctance to provide for Black women or just take Black women out on a nice date, and just the sheer frustration at Black women having any sort of like demand at all is incredibly comical. And it leads into this myth that I'm going to talk about more when it comes to Black women dating Black men, and Black women seeing themselves as undesirable when it comes to dating Black men. And that's where the frustration from the original Reddit post comes in. So let's get into it, right? But there's this kind of weird myth, brainwashing going on online, where Black women think, they're believing, right, that it's hard to date a Black man. I'm sorry, I am literally about to go in. So if you haven't subscribed yet, you need to subscribe because it's going to be so funny. First of all, it is not hard to date a Black man. I'm so sorry. As a Black woman, Black men are the easiest group of men to just date in general, right? You have a huge close proximity to them. Most Black women grow up with Black men by their side. And it's just not hard to date a Black man. It's just not. They're trying to make especially Black men, they're trying to make themselves a hot commodity by their little podcasts that they use the last of their savings to go and rent a hall somewhere and make a podcast and be a nuisance to women, right? But the reality is, they are not hard to date. They are like Kleenex tissues. Use once and throw away. There's always going to be another Black man around. The reality is, right, Black women, because they've watched these podcasts, they've been made to think, right, that it's hard to date a Black man. But the reality is that these men are all cashing, they're writing checks that they can't cash in real life. Because if you want to date a Black man, it's very easy. My entire dating history, and I always love it when Black men try and come on my channel and go, oh, you can date a Black man. Listen, my entire dating history is Black men. I dated Nigerian men, I dated Ghanaian men, right? I've got a little story time about my experience with dating Ghanaian men, but that's for another time. I dated all sorts of Black men, right? There was even, when I went to France, there was even a Black man, a French Black man who really, really, really liked me. And this was back in a couple of years ago, like before I even met Greg, 2019. And he was lovely. He was genuinely a nice person. It's really easy to date Black men. My ex before my previous ex, let's call him M. He was a 6-figure Black man. We rode around in his BMW, his white BMW. We rode around all weekend in his white BMW. I have videos of this. In case you think I'm joking, I'll post them. I have no problem. Because we don't hate each other. I don't hate my exes. They're just there. They're the past, right? But the reality is, there's this disturbing myth. There's this disturbing brainwashing where they're trying to make Black women feel as if it's really hard to date a Black man or get a Black man's attention. No, it is not. The reality is it's not. Okay, I really need Black women to understand this. Most Black women don't have a problem dating Black men or finding Black men's attention at all, right? Black men will date any sort of woman on the planet. They are the easiest group of women to date. Now, now there's a difference between dating a Black man and finding a good Black man that's worth the while. Now, there's a difference. But if we're just talking about dating a Black man, it's really not hard for Black women, and that's a fucking fact, right? So I found that very interesting. I found that point very interesting. I needed to point it out. But a lot of men wanna hear it. Even millions, but you'll definitely pay thousands.
Yeah.
Hello, Tosin.
Am I on Instagram?
You are gracing Instagram today. So those were videos of M, who was my ex before my ex. And that was just me in his car all the time. We would just go around. You can see it's in all the clips. It's the same BMW. We would just go around, driving around. And listen, I only have clips of his car because the car was the most interesting thing about him. He was just so bloody boring. The car... His car was the most interesting thing about him. Like, it genuinely, you know, he was a nice guy, but he just wasn't, like, in terms of, also he wanted to be 100% child free, and I wasn't 100% sure, I was either way. You know, I could be child free, I could not be child free. So this weird idea that, you know, black men are hard to date. No, they're not. They're trying to make it look like they are, you know, and definitely the way they act, they, you know, in terms of how, you know, black women tend to be treated when they're dating them, definitely makes it look like they're hard to. So I've also realized the desire to be seen by black women has led to a desire to be an obsessive desire to be seen as a beauty standard, right? And I understand where the desire to be seen comes from. It comes from the fact that many black women have felt unseen, unappreciated, and unloved in their whole life. And so there's this huge desire, whether it's through the way they dress or through the plastic surgeries they do or whatever. You know, there's this desperation, this huge desire to be seen. I get it. But as long as you rely on approval of men in order to feel good about yourself, or in order to feel valued, or, you know, as a woman, men will be able to mess you up, and you will be doomed. Because what it means is that the moment that guy doesn't approve of you, your self-esteem will just dip. And you will base your entire life off what a guy wants. And that's why this decentering men thing is so huge for a lot of women, because they've spent their entire life putting what the man wants before themselves. And listen, do you know one of the reasons why I'm so spoiled and I'm so taken care of? Not just by Greg, who, as many of you ladies know, is Polish. It's an interracial marriage, right? Our baby's going to be biracial, half Polish, half Nigerian. But do you know why he takes such good care of me? And why I've pretty much been spoiled from the age of 23 in relationships? It's because I've always put myself first. From the age of 23, I was putting myself first in every relationship. So for a long time, I've been centering myself. So I don't follow this decenter men thing, because I've not centered them for ages. For like almost the last decade. I'm turning 29 in a couple of days, and I only care about what I want, and which is why you'll see black men come on my channel time and time again and scream, and it means absolutely nothing to me. I'm still exactly where I want to be in life. I'm still about to, you know, start a family with the man of my dreams, have an incredible luxurious wedding day that we've planned very carefully for our guests, which I'll be uploading a vlog. You know, we're still about to look to buy a house. Like, life is just fantastic. And the reason why I've been able to do that, despite all the nonsense that people come and try and say, it's just because I only focus on what I want. I don't give a flying fuck about any beauty standard. I could not give two flying fucks about what anybody thinks of black women or desirability or any of that rubbish or trash. I could not give two flying fucks about red pill or black pill trash or MG, men go their own nonsense way. I could not give two fucks. I don't care about any of these people, right? I only care about what is best for me, and, you know, being treated the way I want to be treated, being taken care of and loved the way I feel I deserve. And I only care about fulfilling my identity and I'm 100% hyper focused and self-focused on the outcome that I want for my life. And that supersedes everything. And let me tell you, black ladies, when you discover your real inner strength and your confidence and your self-esteem, right, it cannot be built on your outside appearance or approval or desire to be seen as any rubbish beauty standard or desire to be seen as the most beautiful. Listen, if you develop this desire of being seen as the most beautiful, your relationships will be trash. You will end up miserable, and you will end up having to do procedure after procedure after procedure after procedure, and it will never end. You will never be able to stop. There'll always be something that you feel is wrong with you, because you'll never be settled within yourself. You'll never be able to stop, right? Don't get me wrong. If you've got the money, which I definitely have, but I just don't need to. I don't desire to do this. But if you really desire to change yourself and you really think that will make you happy, go ahead. But the vast majority of women find that they end up feeling even worse, and it doesn't actually solve the inside problem of not being satisfied with who you are and not realizing that you're actually enough as you are as a black woman. Like, you're enough. You're okay. You deserve the love, the respect, the care, the appreciation as you are. right? As you are, as you naturally are, as who you are. And once I realized that, oh my God, the doors are open to me in life. The doors are open to me. I don't work. I am chilling. I'm relaxing. And listen, that doesn't mean I don't have money. I have money. I have assets. But I don't need to work because my husband to be just provides everything. Listen, ladies, we need to talk. I'm gonna go into your misconceptions about white women because we need to talk. We need a chat. We need to have a discussion. We need to have a discussion because many of you black women are confused. You're confused about the privilege, the so-called privilege that you think white women have. I'm going to bust this myth today in Jesus' name. I'm gonna bust through this myth. I'm gonna expose the reality of the confusion and the mistakes that you've been making in what you think, and we're gonna go into it further. So go and refill your drink or whatever it is you have. I'm not drinking alcohol, so drink for me, drink in my name, raise a glass for me, and let's continue the discussion, okay? As I was saying previously, ladies, especially to my black women, but not just black women, you know, any other woman of any color, but especially black women, my philosophy has always been to expand your options and date out, and you know, date whoever treats you the best regardless of the skin color. It doesn't matter if he's white, black, Asian. It really doesn't fucking matter, right? Just date who treats you the best and who meets your standard in almost every department, because nobody's perfect, right? But the reality is, black women really need to understand that you have the world open to you. Listen, I cannot force you to believe me. You've got to believe it deep within your guts, deep within your soul, deep within your ovaries, deep within everything that makes you a woman. You've got to believe this, right? You've got to believe that you have that ability to date whoever you want and date the best person for you. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to understand or believe it. You're not going to have that self-esteem, right? And self-esteem comes from listening and believing and following what you really believe and say. And it's really important that black women develop this self-esteem. And I really want black women to understand as well that the reality is a lot of black women find themselves kind of confused when it comes to, you know, dating interracially or just dating in general, or, in terms of developing their confidence. And I'll tell you what, one of the reasons why, this decentering men movement thing has never really, I've never really cared. For a long time, I've never really cared what men think in general. Right? I don't care how they find me, whether they find me attractive, whether they don't find me attractive. I don't care. Right? I only care about what I want. That's as simple as that. And one of the reasons why Greg is so deeply in love with me, and I love Greg so much. I love my husband to be so much. I'm so excited for our family. But one of the reasons why he is so deeply in love and obsessed with me is because he told me that he has never met a woman like me that thinks the way I do, that has the confidence I do, the level of confidence, the level of self-assuredness, that this is intoxicating to him and it is mesmerizing to him. And one of the reasons I feel that way is because I just don't care. I don't have any specific feelings towards men as a whole group. I don't love them. I don't hate them. They're just there. They're just there. They're just there. They're just in your face. They're just there doing whatever it is they do. And I think women who talk about the decentering men movement have placed so much emphasis on men in terms of they have so many deep feelings towards men. And you know, I've noticed is the women who talk about decentering men, they talk about men the most and they put the most emphasis on men in their lives. And it's not necessary. I've never felt the need to decenter men because I've always centered myself for a very, very long time. And I think with black women as well, right, the more you center yourself and the more you just focus on what you want, the less you'll be worried about decentering men because you'll be already doing the best things for you anyway. I think that's really important. And I think, especially when you're dating interracially, it is very important that your standards are even higher than ever, right? Because the reality is not every white man or Asian man or Hispanic man or whatever, or biracial man is going to be a good man. And what may be a good man for another woman may not be a good man for you. What another man may do for another woman, he may not do for you. So you need to have the highest standards possible when you date interracially, even more than just dating within, your race or whatever, so that you can find the best possible person and the best possible partner, whether that be a he or a she or whoever, that will treat you well. It's as simple as that. I need Black women to understand as well that other Black women are making incredible strides in their careers. Look at Kebby Badenoch, who's a Nigerian woman who has now been voted the leader of the Conservative Party. I have nothing to say about the Conservatives. I'm just proud of her as a Black woman for doing such things, because she's the first ever Black woman that has been the leader of the Conservative Party, or really any political party in the UK. This is a big, big deal. There are Black women achieving all sorts of things. I bought my first investment property at 25. I was already making really good money at 25, working an incredible, cushy, remote job in an IT company, IT and artificial intelligence company. And there are plenty of other Black women as well, leveling themselves up, in terms of in every area of their lives, they're leveling up. I really need other Black women to see this, especially the young girls, the 18-year-olds, the 19-year-olds, the 21-year-olds, the 22-year-olds, or even just the women in my age bracket, or even the women older than me, who are going online to date for the first time, and they, feel like they're not good enough. Listen, there are many Black women who are out there doing amazing things, and you can be just like that. You have the ability to be just like that. You have the ability to date interracially, date whoever you wish, date online, right? As long as you don't fill your head with things that will make you emotionally and mentally sick. Videos created by Black men, created by white racist supremacists, or any sort of group that just enjoys putting Black women down, right? No matter what that group is, as long as you don't watch videos created by such people, there is so much room in your head to grow and flourish. As a Black woman, it's really important that you understand that you have the power to control what goes inside your head. You have the power to control what you think. You have the power to control how you move and what you allow to affect you and what you allow your brain to process. You actually have control over this. I really need you ladies to understand you have control over what you think and how you think of yourself. It's very, very important, okay, ladies? It's very important. I want you to not allow any of that negative stuff to get to you. Now, let's move forward to the really juicy topics, which is the misconception that Black women have about white women.
I don't regret things that I didn't say, but thank you for asking. I've said maternity pay is important. If we want to fix maternity pay, we need to start with making sure that government isn't intervening in business excessively. Businesses can then pay more.
Do you think your comments have been misinterpreted?
Of course they have. There was a long interview, but if you're taking 30-second clips, it's very easy to misinterpret. But one of the things that I'm not going to let happen is allow other people to say things that I haven't said.
So you see there, that's Kemi Badenoch. And essentially what she's saying is, you're not going to come and make me the scapegoat of your hatred for the British public. That if I say something, I'll let you know I've said it. But if not, don't put words in my mouth. And that's a very good way. Listen, Black women, you see the way she moves, Black women need to be putting themselves first. It's very, very important. Anyway, let's move on.
Having a hard time explaining this feeling, which is surprising, right? I'm a Black woman in America. I'm Congolese and live in America. Of course, I am used to being overqualified and underlooked. I'm used to this feeling of constant disappointment, but this time felt different. Because if a woman like Vice President Kamala Harris, her opponent is a criminal, yet America chooses him, what message does that send to all the other men who are comfortable assaulting women? What message does that send to all the women who have been assaulted? I just feel so defeated. I don't even know how to explain this feeling. It's too much. Because there was never a part of me for a second who thought, I am so scared. I think that's really the underlying feeling is I'm just scared. I'm scared. I'm disappointed. I'm hurt. I'm sad. I'm just all of it. And worst of all is I really actually did not believe this would happen. I truly did. I went to bed confident. And I still don't believe it. I really don't.
I've been very vocal about the election, and I'm not going to let that stop just because it didn't go the way that I would have wanted it to. I'm heartbroken, and I don't have a lot of hopeful words to say. I'm still really sad and processing it, and in and out of tears, and because I feel like love lost today. A lot of people who voted for Trump claim that it was in the name of God. There's no God in that. And so I have a couple groups of people I want to talk to specifically. Number one, Black women. This was triggering to a lot of us. This was a representation of what we've been told our whole lives. You got to be twice as good to get half as much. And it's hard to see that play out on the world stage. It was hard to see Kamala be the first one to not win the popular vote against Trump. And it was hard because I know I felt like, damn, they let me believe a Black woman could be the president of the United States. I fell for that shit. But I want to thank Kamala Harris for getting to that stage. And I have hope that she got there. I have to, you know? But I know a lot of Black women know this feeling of disappointment all too well. And it's almost like the whole country, you know, was against us. You saw an overwhelming amount of Black women and Black men vote the same way. It felt like we were all on the same page, and to have that ripped away is heartbreaking. And then I also want to speak to survivors of SA, because a man who was found guilty of SA is sitting in the Oval Office, making decisions over your life. He can put people in the Supreme Court that have lifetime terms that will make decisions over your daughter's life. He's got the House and the Senate, and it feels like he can do whatever he wants, and the world feels so dark right now. And this is why women don't come forward, because at the end of the day, your abuser could become the president of the United States. And that sucks. And again, I don't have a lot of hopeful words to say other than the fact that women, I know, didn't look too good in the election, but at least women like me and like my friends, like, I hear you, and like, there are plenty of us still out there who want better for the world. And like, I'm not going to stop fighting to hold men accountable for their shitty actions and to try to change the world a little bit that I can. I'm not going to cry on the internet, but yeah, I'm just hurt today. And if you are too, that's okay. And you're not alone. And we will get through this. But 4 years is a long time. So yeah. I love y'all, and I feel like today is not the day for jokes. Today is not the day for normal content, for turning our brains off. Like, today is a day for mourning, and I'm mourning with you, girls.
Okay. So what you are seeing is Black women crashing out on TikTok and being very angry and frustrated with white women on how they voted in the recent US election. So as we know, Trump won the election and white women in the majority voted for Trump. And one of the reasons why Black women are very angry is because they have so many misconceptions about how white women are actually treated in relationships. For many Black women, they believe, right, that white women will stand with them. But what you don't understand is that white women will do what's best for them. They will do, and Black women need to move like Kimmy Badnock and do what is best for them in all areas of their life. They need to move and they need to change the way they, Black women are people pleasers. And I've said this before, and you need to become way more selfish with yourself and what you want in your life and way more ruthless. And the reality is there's so many misconceptions about white women and whether they are provided for. And a lot of them are not, especially in relationships with men with their own race or men in other races. We look at all these white women who get with Black men and they're just, the situations are just an absolute mess. Look at that lady on TikTok that has 6 kids crammed in one bedroom, and that's a white woman. Black women have such a huge misconception of how white women are treated in relationships. Many of them are not provided for. They're not taken care of. So they're not going to get rid of the few privileges that they do have. I really need black women to understand this. And the reality is they are working. Listen, my husband to be is Polish. I have been to Poland so many times. I have seen the Polish women working. I have been to Poland so many times. We may move there in the future. I have seen how Polish women are working. I've seen women in the UK, the way they work, right? A lot of them are doing 50-50, if not 150. So black women, stop making that mistake and do what is best for you. And that's why they're so frustrated and so angry. But really, they should have just been doing what's best for them the entire time. I've noticed that black women have this really strange conception about white women and the privilege in relationships. A lot of black women seem to think that white women, especially the American black women, I know I'm a Nigerian black woman born in London, born in the UK. I know different because I've seen it with my own eyes. But I think a lot of black women really, really have this misconception about how white women are treated in relationships. You know, they think that, when white women date, or when white women date out, they're treated amazingly, or when white women date, they're taken more seriously, or when white women, no. I need black women to understand this is so not true. Black women don't realize, right, that there is not much difference between how white women are treated in long-term relationships compared to how black women are treated. Now, don't get me wrong. White women do have a certain privilege when it comes to certain things. Like, okay, for instance, if a white woman discusses that she's child-free online, she may face less harassment than a black woman discussing being child-free. Now, there is the privilege that you're looking at. But if we're talking about white women and the way they're treated in relationships, absolutely fucking not. And I do not have a problem with white women. I don't think about them in general. They're not on my radar. Right? I only discuss them when it comes to certain topics that they are relevant in. But as far as this topic where it's very important that black women understand this, they are not treated as well as you think. In fact, I'll go as far as to tell you that white women are the original gangsters of 50-50. So what do I mean by the original gangsters of 50-50? White women are the women who, by and large, throughout Europe, and almost the rest of the world, do 50-50 with their men. And that is a reality. It's one of the reasons why from time to time, I'll get jealous white women on my channel who cannot believe I am 100% provided for by my husband-to-be who loves me to bits. Right? And I get some black men who are also very envious, who cannot believe that my husband to be a white Polish man who is handsome, tall, and very financially endowed takes care of me. Because many of these white women who you believe are privileged en masse, if you go into Europe, you will see these women are working. Listen, the reality is the entire movement was based, and the feminism movement is based on the ability and the desire for them to do 50-50. That is what they do. That is their natural culture. It's very important. A lot of black women think, they're provided for. Who told you that? Who honestly told you that? Is it because of what you see online? Is it because of what you see? Don't let online confuse you. The reality, real life will show you what's really going on, right? When I was in Germany, and I'll show you a couple of, I'm dropping the vlog really soon, I can't wait. But when I was in Germany, oh my God, if you know how many women I saw, and there were lots of Italian women there, lots of Turkish women. As you ladies know, I did have a bit of an issue with when I went into the restaurant with one Italian woman who tried to turn me and my friend away. And there were so many women working late. I mean, they would work in restaurants because me and my friend, we went out. We were there. We were in Germany for 2 weeks. We went outside. And there were so many women who would work until very late. And I noticed that the men would leave early. The men would leave around 8 or 9 in some of these restaurants. And the women would still be there at 11 o'clock. Working. I'm going to talk about another thing that I just recently saw online as well. So I also follow Amber and Barnett from Love is Blind. Now, they are one of my favorite Love is Blind couples, as well as Lauren and Cameron, because I mean, they just have to be, right? But the reality is, Amber is pregnant right now, which is interesting because I'm also pregnant. But in her comment section, she posted that she was on a scooter. right? And she got a lot of comments from other white women, specifically white women, and I'm gonna post them here, who were furious at her for using a scooter while pregnant. They were like, oh, I've worked 300 hours while pregnant. So why can't you work 300 hours while pregnant? I worked this hours while pregnant. So why can't you work this hours while pregnant? Let's have a look at this comment here. I'm not shaming you, but I'm a server and I worked my entire labor with my son. I was serving tables until 7:37. He was born at 8:05. Being on your feet helps you to be so much with pregnancy, labor, and delivery. Do you see? And this is a white woman. There are so many white women who desire to work like animals day in, day out. And I'm not even trying to be horrible, but some of them don't desire it. Some of them have no choice. And black women are very confused because they think that white women have this privilege when it comes to relationships. Do you know how many white women I see get treated badly by the white men in their own groups? Do you know? Do you have no idea? I see it on a daily basis. This is why so many of them are so upset when they see black women being treated better than they are by their own group of men. It's very important that black women understand this. There are so many white women who defend ardently the amount of hours that they work. I see white women talking about how they work 12 hours a day during pregnancy, right up until the day they were born. Not the day where they were born, but the day their child was born. And they are so excited over this, right? And they are the ones who end up complaining deeply about how much work they do in the house. And let me tell you something, ladies. I understand that with black women have always had to work, right? Because they don't have a system created by their men to allow them to be stay-at-home mothers en masse. But white women, they weren't enjoying the stay-at-home mothers because many of them still had to work and they still had to work in the home. I'm telling you, these white women are the original gangsters and the original connoisseurs of 50-50. That is their culture. That is what they love doing, right? And here we have another comment from a white woman saying, girl, I'm so sorry, but are you really using the handicap chair in the store? I can't. Laugh my ass off. I'm 9 months pregnant with 2 toddlers and I wouldn't dare. And these are all women commenting on Amber's post because she's using a scooter while she's pregnant. And it looks like she has HG or H. I'm not sure if it's H. I think she has like extreme morning sickness, essentially, right? And I really need black women to understand that many white women are working themselves to the bone. They are having such a bad deal in relationships. They are working 12 hours a day. I would be furious, yeah? If I married a man and I allowed them to get me pregnant and I had to still work 12 hours a day while carrying a baby, that is a very bad deal. There is not a man on this planet that has been born yet that would ever put me in that situation where I'm working 12 hours a day while having a baby in my belly. There is not a man, there is not a soul on this planet that has been born that would ever put me in that situation. There is no man that I would ever allow to put me in that situation. There are many women here, white women, you see many of them in the comment section talking about how they worked right up until birth. They were on their feet. Listen, being pregnant and being active is very good, but there's a difference between being active and working yourself to death because you have no choice. And there are so many white women in this, like en masse, especially in Europe. Literally in Netherlands or Holland, I think, yeah, I'm not sure which one, but they say going Dutch because it's literally their culture to pay 50-50. That's why they call it going Dutch. It's their culture to pay 50-50. I really need black women to understand this misconception you have about white women and their privilege and all that. Listen, the privilege is not in the way you think. It doesn't reflect in their relationships because many of them are still treated very badly and many of them are working round the clock. Even more than the men, right? In order to keep their families going. And anytime they see a woman who is actually spoiled and really, really taken care of, oh, it grinds their gears. Oh, it does. Oh, it does. Listen, ladies, it is not cheap to start a family. It's not, right? And as you know, I am currently pregnant and we are planning our wedding. And listen, I want to talk a bit about wedding planning because, Lord child, it is expensive. We have booked our venue and Greg and I have paid for pretty much almost everything. But our venue alone cost £8,000. Our wedding venue, our wedding reception venue. This is not our wedding dress. This is not my wedding dress. This is not the cake. This is not any of the things inside the wedding reception. This is not the church. This is not the flowers, darling. It's just the venue. It's just the venue. And our wedding venue alone costs £8,000. Listen, ladies, there are many women out there who are essentially just being the ones to provide financially. Many women who are breadwinners, many women who are still giving birth, carrying a child, working right up until the last minute and doing everything in the house and then still struggling, still suffering. And many of these women are white. And let me tell you something. The amount of money that we spent on this wedding, the amount of money we've even just me and Greg, but when you start getting married, people will just, it's like they smell that you're getting married and they'll just be like, money. They see the vendors will just be like, money. Ladies, it is not cheap to start a life with somebody, to build a family. It requires resources and patience and true devotion and care and effort. And I really need black women to understand, right, that you have just as every much as chance to meet someone who will love you and treat you well. You are not automatically at a disadvantage just being a black woman, right? Because there is this myth that a lot of black women think that white women are better treated in relationships. Who told you that? Absolutely not. You have just as every much bit as options and as chances to build a successful, happy life where you are truly appreciated and valued with a guy of no matter what skin color he is. And that's not to say that I think that these women should have to work to this stage. Listen, I don't think these women should have had to work all the way up, right up until their birth. A lot of them, they'll be telling you they did it because they wanted to be active. They had no choice. Their money was a huge contribution to the household and they probably couldn't have survived without doing that. And that's the reality, but they won't tell you that. Listen, I can't tell you how fortunate I am to not be able to work and not have to work while, I'm able to, but I just don't need to. I just don't, my lovely husband to be just wants me to rest and relax at home. And we planned it. When I first met Greg, I told him, if we ever have children, because we didn't know whether we were going to or whether we were, I said, if we didn't have children, we would just travel the world and just relax and enjoy ourselves. And if we did have kids, I would not be working when I was pregnant. This is something I made very clear to him before we even discussed marriage, before he even proposed to me, right? Last year, I told him, I am not going to be working when I am pregnant. I am going to relax. I am not going to stress myself. And listen, ladies, life is so enjoyable. I wake up at 12 in the morning sometimes, or 12 in the afternoon, or sometimes I wake up and make breakfast for me and Greg, Or sometimes we'll wake up, we'll laugh, we'll talk about the baby, we'll spend our time laughing, and sometimes he'll kiss my belly, or he'll hold me, or he'll talk to the baby in Polish, which is really cute. And there's just that time. There's that time for me to enjoy being pregnant, but there's also that time for me to rest and really experience all the symptoms I'm going through and really understand where my head is at. And I really want black women to have that privilege, because it is a privilege. It's a privilege to be able to rest. I think pregnancy is such a risk that women should really have that privilege, right? And this mindset as well, don't allow people to scare you when it comes to pregnancy, because there's a lot of fear-mongering videos online when it comes to, being a stay-at-home parent as a black woman. Or listen, black women on average have not had that chance to be a stay-at-home parent. It's not something that was accessible to them because black men could not provide to the level where black women could stay at home, right? En masse, they couldn't. Most black couples, 2 of them are working. That's the fact, right? And I don't want black women to think, oh, if you're you're not at home, if you're at home, then suddenly you're automatically vulnerable, or your guy can just absolutely destroy you financially. No, there are many black women like me who will be staying at home, who have money and assets of our own. We don't spend our money, we spend our husband's money, and we keep our own. God bless my husband, my financier. Literally, I need black women to understand there's a way that you move in life where you'll be smart about things, where you can enjoy the privilege of being a stay-at-home mom while also building yourself, building your own assets, having your own money, your own emergency fund, your own getaway fund, or whatever fund it is you need to have, right? To keep yourself secure as a woman. It's very, very, very important. But I wanted to bust this misconception, because the amount of women I saw working so much in Germany, in Berlin, I was in Berlin, was incredible. Me and my friend Joanna, we were shook. We were like, hey, the way some women are working, I genuinely think black women don't understand just how much white women are working and doing 50-50 here. Even in the UK, I see white women working and doing 50-50 so much all the time. Some of them aren't even doing 50-50. They're doing 100, 0, or 150 and 0. The man is doing 0, they're doing 150. A lot of them even tend to prefer to just be single mothers and not have the man in the house, because the man in the house, he doesn't do anything and he decreases their income. This is something that a lot of black women don't understand. Especially if you're in America, right? And you might think you look at life through life of only American lens. But if you go outside and see even the white women who go to Africa and do missionary work, they're doing more work than their male missionary counterparts in Africa, in different parts of Africa, in different countries in Africa. Those white women missionaries are working. Listen, ladies, do you know one of the things I find interesting about Kemi Badenoch is, you may not know, but Kemi Badenoch is actually married to a white man. Now, we can speculate all we want, right? But the reality is, I definitely believe that her relationship, her interracial relationship, right? And that man looks like he loves her to bits, right? But her interracial relationship with her husband, I believe it has definitely boosted her in being able to become the first black female, and bearing in mind she's dark-skinned, okay? The first black dark-skinned woman to be the leader of the Conservative Party. Now, the Conservative Party, some of you may or may not know, but this is an old boys gentleman's club. This is a gentleman's club, right? One of the only female leaders in the Conservative Party. We have Margaret Thatcher, we've got Liz Truss, we've got Theresa May, and these are all old white women, right? But the reality is, Kemi is the first black woman to be the leader of the Conservative Party, a notoriously difficult party to gain favor in terms of leadership, right? And if you just look at her husband absolutely adores her. You can see all the pictures when she was first announced as the leader of the party. Her husband adores her. And ladies, I need to understand, a good relationship with interracial relationship, it will make you reach heights in life that you have never reached before, right? I am living the most comfortable fucking life. Like, every day I pinch myself like, oh my God, why is life so good? I'm so grateful to God, right? But her husband, Kemi's husband, right? He would give her a lift in his car when she was a Tory candidate, right? This guy was giving her lifts home when they were dating. He was doing all sorts of things for her, right? He was keeping a low profile in order for her to rise up as the leader. I think his name is Hamish Badenoch. So I don't know where he's from, but the Hamish name, I don't know. Anyway, when she won the Tory leadership, this man was crying, choking up. He was so proud of her. Listen, ladies, black women, especially all of those people who like to paint dark-skinned black women as not having any privilege or can't do anything. Oh, more, shut up. Shut your mouth. Shut up. Dark-skinned black women can definitely achieve so many things, especially when they branch out, expand their options, expand what they want in their life, raise their standards. you know, in terms of dating whoever they want, they can reach the stars, right? I am not. I listen. Listen, they can reach the stars, right? And that goes for any shade of black woman. It doesn't matter whether you're light skin or dark skin, but especially dark skinned black women. Okay. Also, I know a lot of black women may have lost hope. There are a lot of black women complaining about Kamala not becoming the president of the United States. And as a biracial woman, that was like a big deal for a lot of people. But I find it interesting how a biracial woman couldn't become the president of the United States, but a black, dark-skinned woman has become the leader of the Conservative Party in the UK. Do you not see the irony there? I find that very interesting. I don't know, maybe it's just me. So just take a look at this picture of Kemi Badenoch and her husband in Buckingham Palace. And I think this is right after she's been appointed the Conservative leader. And just look at how this woman is living. Now, bearing in mind, her husband is a banker. He was working at Deutsche Bank. So, you know, the man was already part of the whole crowd. But listen, I need black ladies to understand. There are black women out here living. Living. Ladies. It's very, very important. I want you to, you know, especially with this election, I think a lot of black women are on TikTok making a ton of videos crying about how nobody is allying with them. Listen, as black women, we must come together and put ourselves first and focus on ourselves, right? And we need to be the people that we need to be for ourselves. We need to rally around each other, put our money into each other, right? For my wedding, because my wedding is going to be luxurious. We've got waiters, we've got bartenders. I've just mentioned that the venue alone is over £8,000 for our wedding venue, right? So God knows what the total cost of everything is going to be after. But we've got waiters, bartenders, we've got an extensive menu that has Nigerian food, Polish food, right? My wedding dress, we've got so many things. We've got my sister singing at my wedding. We've got like, there's crazy stuff happening, right? There's going to be a huge fanfare when we come out of the church. And one of the things I love about my wedding is that almost everything has been sourced by a black woman. So my wedding dress is created by a black woman. My wedding cake is created by a black woman. The Nigerian side of my wedding menu is created by a black woman. My wedding planner is a black woman, right? And the only parts that aren't done by a black woman are the Polish parts, because I thought it was very important that a Polish wedding be done by, that the Polish part of my wedding, so that's the Polish food and the Polish drinks, they need to be done by Polish people, right? Because I am having Polish people at my wedding, considering that my husband is Polish. But for the majority of my wedding is done by black women. And I think it's really important that black women rally around each other, especially after this US election. Black women in the UK, black women in France, black women in Germany, black women wherever you are. You need to be rallying around each other and supporting each other and pouring money and resources into each other and building each other up. That is how you combat all of this, you know, the negative consequences of election period, essentially. I really need black women to come together, and that is where you will be strong. That is where you become formidable. That is where you will become a force to be reckoned with. And it's very, very important that black women band together. Listen, I'm all for black women, right? I like every woman to succeed and be happy, but especially black women, because for a long time, the world has tried to ridicule our image and try and paint us into a certain box. And that day is gone. That day is gone. Now it's our time to get whatever we want in life. And that's the reality. And I'm here to see and facilitate it for my fellow black ladies. Lastly, I need ladies to remember to keep blocking men. The reason why I say that is because remember I've told you, men will never delete your number because they don't have as many options as they try and make you believe they have. Men are obsessed with trying to make you believe that they have options, so they'll neg you and they'll try and insult how attractive you are, how unattractive you are, because it makes them feel better about the fact that they don't have many options, and they will never have as many options as women. And deep down they know this, and it kills them inside, right? So men will never delete your number. They'll have your number on for years. I'm telling you, they will keep your number for 5 years, right? And you will not even remember who this person is. And they will text you, listen here, can you see a screenshot? This is someone who I spoke to. I started speaking to this person when I was dating online, right? Before I met Greg. This was 2022. It's almost 2025. And this person has popped up. I didn't even know that this man still had my number. And I didn't like him. He had 2 kids and I wasn't interested in dating men with kids because I was a single childless woman at the time. And listen, this man popped up and messaged me and I had no idea this man still had my number. I didn't block him because it just, I just stopped talking to him and I thought maybe he got the message. This man popped up again saying, hi. And I was just like, hello, who is this? And he was like, it's Aaron. And he was like, oh, I guess you're still taken. Seriously, 2.5 years after. Yes, I'm still taken, Aaron. Yes, I'm still taken. And he went, I miss you. Listen, ladies, block. Who are you missing? Ladies, please block these men because men, they will not leave you alone. They will look for ways to wear you down, even after they've negged you and tried to emotionally destroy your self-esteem and your image about how you see yourself. They will still come back because men don't really have options the way you think they do. They really don't. They talk a lot about how much options they wish they had, blah, blah. And the majority of men that do have options is the money that is giving them the options. The money doesn't make them desirable. It makes them tolerable. There's a difference, right? Men that are truly desirable, they're desirable because of how they treat women, right? A man who treats a woman very well becomes desirable. A man who just has a lot of money is tolerated. That's the reality. Okay. So start blocking men. Be blocking them because I forgot to block this guy and this is what I ended up with. I don't want you ladies to end up with random people, and this is what happens. Men will just pop up out of the blue and then ladies will end up drawn back into a toxic cycle with someone that they're not really supposed to be talking to. 2025 is coming up. Discover the love of blocking and blocking ruthlessly and blocking well, because I block ruthlessly and I love it. I love blocking ruthlessly. I enjoy it so much. Now, we're coming close to the end of the video. So I hope you've enjoyed the video. You've subscribed. If you haven't already, you've had a load of drinks and refills and snacks and everything. But I really wanted Black women to understand, especially with that first Reddit post, that your misconception of yourself, the way you see yourself is what's been forced down your throat through social media, through posts designed to hurt and destroy your self-esteem, designed to make you feel as if there is no hope for you. And one of the reasons why I like showcasing my little parts of my relationship, because I really only show 3% of my relationship, right, with Greg and my interracial relationship, is because I really need Black women to understand that there are so many Black women out here who are waking up, enjoying their lives, dating out, branching out, and really expanding their dating options and, increasing their standards and being ruthless when it comes to what they want. And that's something I really need to input into women. Now, I'll talk to you about what I've learned in my dating experience very briefly. My first ever boyfriend was a Nigerian man. He was when I was 18. And it was a terrible relationship. And his name was W. We call him W the Demon. W the Demon. But I actually made a video on my struggle relationship with him and how bad it was. Now, I did not really love that guy. I only didn't realize my worth because it was very easy to drop him once I realized how much better I wanted for myself and how much I, had changed how I saw myself and changed what I wanted for my life. And when I had really changed my mindset and developed my self-confidence, identity, and self-esteem, it was so easy to drop him. I was only with him for about 2 years and I dropped him easily. And after that, from the age of 23, I never dated a man who put me in such a bad financial or emotional situation ever again. I always dated men who made me the center of their life and who put me at the top and who did everything they could for me to meet my standards, right? And it's one of the reasons why I am so happy with Greg is because well, he puts me first and he does everything in his power to make our relationship fantastic, just as I do. I do put a lot of, effort and energy into him. In fact, I'll say this: since Greg met me, he is making more money. He is more healthy physically and emotionally. And he's making more money than he ever was before he met me. That's very interesting. We actually discussed that yesterday. And we said, before we went to bed, we were discussing it before we went to sleep. And he was like, yeah, when I first met you, I made quite a lot, but it's nowhere near what I make now that I've been with you for the past 3 or almost 3 years. And listen, ladies, a good interracial relationship or a good relationship with any man of any skin color will elevate your life. And I love Greg more than any of the black men that I dated previously. And that doesn't mean that those black men were awful men. I had very good experiences with some black men. And that's what I want black men to also understand. I don't hate black men. I don't hate you. Though I really despise the way you treat black women. And I despise the way you come on my channel and act crazy. I will never accept that. You will always be blocked and nobody cares. Because as you can tell, I'm a woman that does whatever I wish in life. I don't care what anyone says. I'm going to do what I want and you're going to deal with it. Right? But I don't hate black men. Of course I don't. I love my father to bits. My father has been a huge part of my life, and he's always been there for me. And he's a black Nigerian man. But I am very, very, very disturbed by the way they treat black women and by the way they tarnish black women's image online and the way they try their best to diminish black women's self-esteem. And I find it quite sickening. I find it sickening and I find it a huge fault of black men, right? It's one of their biggest faults. It's one of the reasons why they struggle to rise. As long as you try and diminish your women, you will never rise. I'm telling you the truth. You will never. And I want black women to also understand that you need to learn to see past this. Now, that doesn't mean every black man in the world is horrific. Absolutely not. I don't think so. There are plenty of, let me rephrase that. There are not plenty of black men, good black men in the world, but there are quite a few good black men in the world. But it's a question of how many are there for black women out there, right? And I want black women to understand that there are also very good options outside of black men. You have to be careful because there are also men of different skin colors who are terrible, terrible, terrible men, right? And the reality is a man can be good or bad. It doesn't matter the skin color. And I need black women to understand that, right? It's important. A man can be good or bad, but it's about what you want for your life, what you accept, and how ruthless you are in making sure you get what you want. Because at the end of the day, that is what will decide whether you end up with the outcome you want or you don't. And the moment I learned to love myself, I stopped having, listen, W was the only relationship I ever had that was truly horrible. I've had 5 long-term relationships and at least, I would say 4 of them were fantastic. And 3 of those were with black men. But Greg just happened to be the best. And he just happened to be a white European Polish man. Okay? So that's very important. I've got one last thing to say before we crack onto it. Now, there's something very interesting in that original post on Reddit that I've just explained at the beginning of the video. The OP mentioned that African men don't treat African women well. And actually, there is a good point there to be made. In Nigeria, which I'm a Nigerian woman, right? I was born in the UK, born in London, but I was schooled for a few years in a private boarding school that my parents paid for. And let me tell you something. I saw so much poverty around me. And it is so bizarre living in a bastion of wealth surrounded by so much poverty. I'm telling you, it is completely bizarre. And in Nigeria, I saw so many female breadwinners, so many women breadwinners. These women, they were the only reasons their children were going to school. Their children would not be able to go to school without these women. I don't know what the men were doing. I do not know what the men were doing there, right? Over 80% of women, there is an actual research that has shown over 80% of women in low income brackets in Africa are sole breadwinners for their family through trading, farming, and small businesses. In Nigeria, the increasing presence of women breadwinners is due to the economic challenges, gender roles, and patriarchal systems. Let me tell you something. Even a survey, I'll see if I can find the survey, but even a survey shows that 21.1% of households in Nigeria are female-led. Women are women are doing their best and many of these families in African cultures, don't get me wrong, the some of the demands when it comes to bride price and stuff is definitely higher and definitely requires more from men. But in terms of women actually providing, women are huge providers in Africa. Huge. Many families are matriarchy run. Like it is the women who are keeping those families alive and together. Right. And the reality is a lot of men are falling short when it comes to being able to provide. Right. And, there's this article by Innovative Research, and it talks about how women breadwinners in Nigeria they are challenging gender norms. You see some of them with their little shops, they're going out and they are making it. And let me tell you something. I think it should be commended that Black women are, discovering their education, expanding their options when it comes to education, building wealth, building money for themselves. I think that's very important considering Black women historically have not had enough resources and their men have not been able to provide them resources. One of the best things I ever did for myself as a Black woman is, and as we can see further on in the pie charts, we see the reason for why many of the women in Nigeria have become breadwinners. A couple of reasons here: 18.4% polygamous marriage, 37% there's a burden to raise children properly, 6.3% have become breadwinners because of the laziness of their husband. Absence of the husband is 6.3%. Husband's very low income is 9.4%, and husband's unemployment is 21%. So that means out of the 160 women that were interviewed, the large majority of them had husbands who were unemployed or in a polygamous marriage while being unemployed. So that just shows you the audacity of men to have such a low income and still have a polygamous marriage. Isn't that crazy? Right? You have a low income and you can't provide for the numerous children that you are bringing into the world, and you're forcing the woman to have to do so many jobs just to take care of the children that you are bringing in. And then there's a burden to raise children properly. And when we look at the main coping strategies employed by these participants, as you can see here in this pie chart here, a lot of women, the only way they're able to survive is by getting assistance. So some women said 21.9% of assistance came from religious organizations, which makes sense as to why Nigeria is so religious. A lot of women are relying on religion just to feed their kids. Then we have 12.5% of self-efforts, then 9.3% from other, which may be prostitution, because there are a lot of women who do prostitute themselves out in African countries, right? And then we have 37.5% assistance from relatives. So there are a lot of Nigerian women who are only surviving and raising their children because the assistance from their family, the immediate family. That's not their husband. I'm talking about their parents, their siblings, right? And then we have assistance from cooperative society, 18.9% or 18.8%. And that is just, their village. So that means the vast majority of Nigerian women who are breadwinners are only surviving because of their family pouring in some money to them. And many of these women have little to no formal education, right? And about 5 to 6 children to care for, right? These are consequences of them getting married early. A lot of these women are getting married before they even leave secondary school. They don't have any education in terms of sexual health, and they don't have the empowerment to cater for these children. And let me tell you something, these women, even with all the barriers that they're facing in life, that the barriers are, socioeconomic, demographic characteristics, age, marital status, education, income, source of finance, they are still going out there and they are breadwinning and they are making money for their children. So what excuse do African and Black men have? They have no excuse. If Black women are out here, African women out here, working hard to secure a future for their children through so many different obstacles, then Black men have no excuse to not be providing for their kids. No excuse. And it just goes to show you, that I really need Black women to increase their standards. That is globally, in Africa, in Europe, in the West, wherever, in Asia, wherever a Black woman is, you need to be increasing your standards. You need to be raising them expeditiously. One of the best things I ever did for myself as a Black woman is to get my master's degree. I had a bachelor's degree, right? But I said to myself, I need to get my master's in international business and finance because it was what I was really good at. And it helped me so much to open my business, start my own little business where I had clients. I was making real money with my business, but it also opened me to up into the career path where I was working remotely, and I was working in a really comfortable, really lucrative career. And I was able to really start making some good money. I was able to really put my brain to use. And I was able to buy myself some properties. And I was also able to just invest in my country, Nigeria. There were so many things I was able to do. You know, right now we are renovating my 2-bedroom apartment in Lekki, which is one of the most expensive places in Nigeria. And we'll be renting it out. And I don't know, I can rent it, I can sell it, I can do whatever I want. And that's the beauty of building capital and wealth for yourself as a Black woman. You now have the freedom to make decisions and play with outcomes that you didn't have before. And that is really important for Black women. Now, that doesn't mean that Black women don't deserve to be provided for. They do. And it's a shame that a lot of Black women have kind of had to develop that, you know, education, that investment out of pure necessity because their men that they married aren't capable. But I still think it's incredibly important that Black women have their own education and develop their own investments, because it's put me at an advantage where I am now in a fantastic relationship with my husband to be, and he provides, but I also have my own, and that is such a sweet spot to be in as a Black woman. It's the situation I want all Black women to experience, to be able to have a man provide for you while having your own money, your own properties, your own assets. It's so sweet to be able to enjoy a man providing for you while also having your own. It's priceless. And that's a situation I'm enjoying, and I absolutely love it. And let me tell you something. It gives you a confidence, it gives you a power, it gives you an emotional and mental fortitude and confidence to go out there and get whatever it is you want, because you know, not only are you provided for, but you have your own. It's so powerful. It's so powerful. And I really want Black women to, you know, focus on that, focus on achieving that. So don't see it as, oh, all African men are bad and stuff like that, because there are a lot of Black women who are you know, they're working hard. And actually, if we look at part of this survey here, we can see that a lot of these women are making money through business, petty trading, farming, professionals. Some women are begging. Then there's women who are in the civil servant industry, and there's so many ways that women are making money, you know, and there's so many challenges that women are facing, you know, being a single parent, struggling to get food on the table, combining domestic work with breadwinning, which is a huge one that women suffer all over the world, combining domestic work with breadwinning, right? And an inability to get loans, right? So there's so many you know, there's so many obstacles, and there's so many situations that women are going through. But it's very important, I think it's incredibly important, that we push through and create financial opportunities and freedom for ourselves, as well as making sure we date men and marry men who can provide for us. That is the utmost important thing. Okay, so that's all I have to say on that, lady. Now, I want Black women to realize that the rewards of loving yourself, accepting who you are, how you look, where you are, working on yourself and putting yourself first, developing your self-esteem, your self-identity, your self-confidence, the rewards of this, while being ruthless with your, you know, your standards, being ruthless with your desires, and being ruthless with what you want in life, the rewards of combining these aspects and components together is absolutely astronomical, right? When I look at my niece is biracial as well. My brother-in-law is Danish and English, and my sister is Nigerian. And when I look at the life of my niece, how my niece lives, how she enjoys her life, she just started horse riding lessons at 4 years old, and she is loving her life, right? My sister's been married for 12 years to a very successful European man. And when I look at the difference in, you know, the way my niece lives and the way other people's, you know, just the way she's taken care of, the happiness she experiences as a child. Listen, when you put yourself first as a Black woman and you expand your options and you have high standards, your children and your future generations will enjoy. They will enjoy the results of you putting yourself first and expanding your options and really believing in yourself when it comes to interracial dating and dating out in general, right? Whether it's dating on dating apps, and yes, you do have the ability to date on dating apps. Don't let anybody tell you any BS or bullshit otherwise, right? And when I look at how excited I am for my child, how excited Greg and I are for our child and all the plans we have for our child. We want to take our child to Paris. We want to take our child here. We want to take our child on family holidays, camping trips, different things. We want to give our child, we've been discussing private school for our child because we want them to learn Polish. We want them to have a double-edged sword of understanding the Nigerian culture, understanding the Polish culture, and being able to be in touch with both parts of their heritage. When you, as a Black woman, put yourself first and you expand your options and you have high standards for yourself, your children will enjoy, your children's children will enjoy. And this is how you build generational wealth. You pass down the concept, you pass down the rewards of your diligence and your efforts in your dating and relationship outcomes, and that will be passed on to your children and your children's children. Like the excitement I have for my child, I love my child. Greg loves our baby. We cannot wait for them to come. We have so much planned for them. We want them to have the best life possible. And when I see the way my niece and my nephew are just enjoying their life. My niece was 2 when her parents flew her over to Switzerland to go skiing. Like, I'm telling you, as when you ladies, do not let anybody offline or online tell you any rubbish. Okay, I don't listen to anybody. I don't listen to anyone. I do whatever I want to, wherever it is I want to do. And ladies, when I tell you that there's so much out there, you are desirable, you are loved, there are so many men out there waiting to take care of you, treat you well, right? And it doesn't even have to be a man, it could be whoever, right? There are so many opportunities job-wise out there for you. There are so many things waiting for you to seize. You have the power to seize whatever you want. The world is your oyster. You just have to believe it. You have to believe it, okay? I believe it, but you need to believe it deep down. Lastly, I really need Black women to not listen to Black men. I don't listen to Black men, right? I don't hate Black men, but I don't listen to them. And it's important because if you see the amount of comments I get when Black men come on my channel, I will not, if there are so many videos where I do not mention Black men and they will still come on my channel. And they will still comment about my relationship. It hurts them so badly inside. I get so many weird comments from them. The vast majority of them are blocked on my channel. In fact, I'd say 99% of them are blocked, right? They're all in the block. They're all in the void somewhere screaming into the night. I don't know, whatever it is they're doing. But all the comments that they post, and I always post them on community tab because it's so funny and bizarre to me to see how angry and frustrated and disturbed and destroyed mentally they are over seeing Black women being so happy in interracial relationships and being treated well. And a lot of them take glee in Black women who do struggle dating or do end up in relationships that aren't so great. And I think it's a huge testament to just how much Black women need to avoid their mindsets. Now, I don't think this is every Black man in the world because I'm actually a very evolved person. I understand that not all of them think the same, but a lot of them online, enough of them think this way to avoid them. Enough of them think this way for you to avoid them. So I think it's very, very important that Black women understand that, you know, unfortunately, a lot of Black men, the only way they can feel good about themselves, and because they can't subjugate anybody, really, they can't subjugate anyone. They don't even have the power to take away your education. They don't have the power to build a system to take away your opportunities because they haven't even been able to build a system for you to benefit from, right? They follow the system that's in place already, but they don't have the power to subjugate anyone. So because they're looking for a way to feel bigger and better about where they are, the only thing people they feel they can oppress is you, and you, the Black woman. And that only works if you see yourself through their eyes. And this is very important for me to tell Black women. I need Black women to stop calling other women the preference. It's very, very important that Black women stop calling other women preferences. If you are calling other women preferences, that means you see yourself through the eyes of a Black man. I do not call any other woman a preference because personally, I don't give a fuck what any other woman does, right? I'm only focused on whatever I want. And because I don't see myself through Black men or through white men or through Asian men or through men at all, I see myself through myself. And so what that means is I don't call any woman a preference. When you call other women a preference, that means you are basing your image based on what Black men desire or based on what men desire in general. And that's not good. The first step to building self-confidence as a Black woman is stop calling other women preferences and start focusing on what you want as a Black woman, right? Start focusing on what you want, because when we look at the outcomes of women that you are calling preferences, the outcomes aren't very good. Right? So it's very, very important that you stop calling other women preferences, because it means you're still playing the game of men. You're still playing men's game. I don't play games with men. Let me tell you something. I don't play games with them. If I need them for something, I ask them to help me with something. If I don't need them, then I don't need them. It's as simple as that. Right? And I am in a position now where, you know, I have quite a few people doing things for me, and I love it. I love it. Right? So we've come to the end of the video, ladies. I'm really, really excited. There's quite a few things coming up on the channel. I'm gonna post. I've been very, very busy, so I've not been doing long videos. As you can see, I've just been doing really short videos, and I've not been posting as much because we've had a house. We've had moved into our new apartment. If you haven't seen that video, I'm gonna link it up. We have moved. We are going for baby scans as we're expecting our first child. The baby scans are the best. They're just amazing. And I just came back from Germany. I spent 2 weeks in Germany with my friend, and I'll be uploading the vlog for the Germany trip. It was a pure soft life Black woman luxury vlog. It was incredible, right? Being in Berlin for that long and having the experiences. And then I'll be posting my baby shower next year and my birthday. So my birthday, I've completely forgotten about my birthday because there was so much going on. But my birthday is actually in a couple of days. I'll be turning 29. So Greg has some incredible things planned for me, as he always does, because he just knows exactly what I like, because he's just great. But I'll also be posting the rehearsal dinner before the wedding and then the wedding day. So my entire channel was actually a project that I was doing, which is just a slow build up right onto the wedding day. Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to be posting anything else after my wedding day, because my entire point of my channel was that I'd be posting right until the wedding day. I wanted to take you guys along with me for the entire journey from when I was proposed to my actual wedding day. I don't know if I'll be posting my child on social media either. It's not something I'm thinking of doing right now, but who knows how I'll feel when the little one arrives. But yes, there's a lot coming on this channel, ladies. I really want Black women to come on this channel. I want you to be able to talk and discuss with each other, build a community. I love the community I'm building with you. So many intelligent, incredible Black women in my community posts who are always delivering the most insightful comments. You know, and don't get me wrong, even though my channel is created for women, the men are welcome as long as you're not acting crazy and dysfunctional. As long as you're not acting crazy and dysfunctional. Listen, the men are also welcome. This is a woman-centered channel, but you are not excluded from this place, right? And you know, I just enjoy so much talking to you, and I've always got time for you, even though my life is becoming a bit more hectic and crazy and a bit more busy. I've always got time for you, and I enjoy so much, you know, you loving the videos and loving the channel. And for the views that I have, for the channel size that I have a lot of views, way more. I've seen people with way bigger followings than me, and they have the same views as I do, which is absolutely nuts to have such a bigger subscriber base and barely anyone watching. So I'm really, really, really glad that you ladies and people on my channel, that you enjoy my videos so much. Thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for supporting, so much for being there, so much for just enjoying the content. I really appreciate it. And if you haven't, check out my Ko-fi channel, check out my Ko-fi platform, because I'm going to be creating some videos about Black women and the exotic movement, and it's going to be really interesting. As someone who's having a biracial child, I find that a very interesting topic. So I'm going to be posting about that as well. So don't forget, I'm going to link it in the bio. Don't forget to follow that platform as well and support your girl. Okay. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later. God bless. I love you all, ladies, and the odd guy out there, but take care, and I will see you soon. Bye.